Hi, everyone. My name is Christen Rincker, and I am a nurse practitioner here at Palm Health. And I'm excited to talk to you all today about making the most of summer fruits and vegetables. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to be talking to you today about why we like to eat seasonally, what our bodies need during these summer months, and how to get the best of the summer produce and how to pick it. Some tips and tricks on how to pick some of the best ones and how to make them most fresh. And then I'm going to throw in some fun recipes to try with some of this summer produce. So first of all, let's talk about why it's important to eat seasonally. We have seen the abundance of summer produce in our grocery stores and our local farmers markets popping up everywhere, especially in these late summer months. And so why is that important to eat seasonally and to support the local farmers? Well, first of all, it tastes better. When fruits and vegetables are picked within season for consumption, whether they've been naturally ripened, picked fresh from the tree, or harvested at the right time, they're going to have much more flavor and nutritional value. Secondly, it's more affordable. When farmers are harvesting a large abundance of crop at one time and able to sell it at that time, they're able to sell it at a lower price point. So that's why you're probably seeing a lot of the corn and tomatoes and squashes and things like that for on a sale price when you go into the grocery store. It's because they're able to provide so much so fresh. Third, it's also going to be less contaminants, less pesticides, because we're not trying to preserve it for months on end for travel from other areas. We're able to pick it locally and sell it locally right away. So it's not trying to be preserved outside its natural season. It's also more environmentally friendly that way, and it supports your local farmers. Another option too you may have heard of is called a CSA box, where you can get it weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly. And that's where you can pick up from a local farm what they harvested that week or within that month, and be able to try new things that are locally grown. And finally, it supports your body's needs during that season. Funny enough, the produce that we're finding in the stores are actually supporting our bodies with what we need during these times of the year that it's actually in season. So before I jump into what our bodies needs as far as vitamins and nutrients, let's talk about numero uno importance during this time of year, especially on a hot day like today, is hydration. Drinking water is always important, but high temperatures and more time in the sun make hydration much more important to stay healthy. Our bodies already generate high amounts of heat on its own, but we need to regulate that heat by sweating. So under the hot sun or just in hot temperatures, our body has to work extra hard to manage its temperature. And that means more water, folks. So we recommend you take about half your body weight in ounces of water. So to make that a little more simple to understand, if you were 150 pounds, we'd recommend during these months to take in about 75 ounces of water, or about 9 cups a day. And I know that sounds a little bit intimidating, but it's easy to do. If you get one of those big 32-ounce cups or travel mugs, fill that up twice in the morning, twice in the afternoon, evening, and get that water in, you're really going to feel a lot better. And going back to this first screen, I gave some examples here of some really good hydrating summer produce. We have cucumbers here and watermelon. And some even little ideas, you can add some cucumber or lemon to your water to help give it a little bit of flavor and extra hydration, or even make watermelon ice cubes. You cut up little chunks and freeze them, and then just throw them in your water. And as they melt, they're going to infuse that water with some flavor. And I wanted to include some tips for you guys on how to pick some of the best produce. So if you're going to pick a watermelon, what you want to do is pick the watermelon up, It should feel heavy. And if you knock on it like you're knocking on someone's door, you should hear a thump. If you hear a thump, that means it's ripe. You should also see a little bit of yellowing potentially on the bottom, which means it's had enough time to sit in the sun. A cucumber, when it's ready for eating, should be firm with no signs of mushiness or discoloration. You may see, as this picture here, there's going to be some that are a little bit lighter, but that's fine as long as it doesn't have any brown or yellow or discoloration. So I thought I'd start off with a summer produce smoothie. If you know me or you've met me, you know I'm probably going to recommend a smoothie because I love them. And I think that they're very easy to pack in a lot of nutrients into one bang. And especially with these high temperatures, sometimes we crave something a little more cool than a warm breakfast, although this could very easily be made into a snack. So you could start with a half a cup of berries. Summer berries are great right now, especially blackberries, raspberries, things like that. If you like, you can pick your favorites. Adding in a cup or two, if you feel like getting crazy, of spinach or kale in there. You won't taste these things because the fruit will help kind of cover up the taste. I also like to freeze zucchini, especially ones that you're afraid may go bad, or the larger ones. They're great to just cut up in chunks, freeze, and then you can just toss those in. You won't taste them, but they add an extra thickness and nutritional punch. And then you can kind of play around here. I suggested, a tablespoon of either ground flaxseed or chia seed, a tablespoon of almond butter, cashew butter, peanut butter, whatever you prefer. And then I myself love chocolate, so I always will find an excuse to throw that in. So if you wanted to add in a tablespoon of cocoa powder, if you don't like chocolate, you can absolutely leave it out. A pinch of cinnamon will help kind of round everything out, bring out your flavors, and it also is very good for blood sugar control. And then just adding in your liquid of choice, preferably like an almond milk, an oat milk, if you use dairy milk, or you could even just stick to water if you don't like milk or you don't have it. Other options to add in would be potentially a protein powder if you have one that you like, or you're trying to amp up your protein after a workout. Or even adding in some fresh mint or some herbs to kind of brighten everything up. Make sure that you do, even though you want to just slurp this down because it's so hot outside, just take time to actually chew a little bit, because that will activate your digestive enzymes to help you digest your smoothie so that you'll avoid that kind of bloat feeling. Okay, and another really easy recipe that's easy to take for an appetizer for a barbecue, make a little snack, is just for some chilled cucumber and watermelon skewers. It's as easy as it sounds. You just cut up some cucumber slices into about 1/2 inch thick pieces, cut up some watermelon into 1 inch thick chunks, cut some red onion, if you like red onion, into small thin chunks, and you just layer those on your skewers. Garnish with a little bit of fresh mint, drizzle it with some lime juice to kind of brighten all those flavors. And then if you want some zing, you could add a pinch of chili powder on top. You could also do the same with pineapple or mango, or those kinds of things pair really well with chili powder, and it kind of makes a nice little sweet, savory contrast. Okay, so let's dive into some of the specific nutrients and vitamins that we need in summertime. Starting with vitamin C. Vitamin C, or absorbic acid, is an antioxidant that's found in everything from oranges to leafy greens to even potatoes. That's why most of us are very familiar with taking extra vitamin C during cold and flu season because of its antioxidant properties. According to the National Institutes of Health, vitamin C plays a direct role in not only our immune health, but in collagen production and neurotransmitter function. Winter often brings cold weather, but summer's extreme warm temperatures can actually have the same effect on our immune system. So this summertime is actually the second most common time for us to see a surge of colds, viruses, and some sinus infections, allergies. So especially in times of people gathering at barbecues, parks, pools, things like that. So that's why vitamin C is still going to be very important during these summer months. So how do we get vitamin C? For the average adult, a daily supplementation dose of 40 milligrams for women and 90 milligrams for men is recommended. And I just want to say a caveat for all of the recommendations. This is going to still be very individual. And if you have any questions about what your specific needs are, definitely talk to your primary care, your healthcare provider. But these are just general recommendations. We can get them through summer produce such as tomatoes. We're seeing so many tomatoes popping up right now. Nothing's better than a summer tomato. Fresh berries, and then your herbs and your chives and your greens there too. So let's talk about how to pick the best of these guys right here. For tomato, you want to look for ones that are unblemished and free from any bruising or soft spots. You want it to still have a firm, but not be too tough. It should have just a tiny bit of give when it's squeezed. And berries are pretty obvious. They should be brightly colored, no signs of mold or dirt. And then your herbs are going to be good and fragrant. You want them to be standing upright, not overly wilted. Although if you keep them in glass jars with water, once you pick them, they will stay fresher longer. All right, next up is vitamin E. In the body, vitamin E acts as an antioxidant, helping your liver and the rest of your body to clear free radicals and toxins. This is a fat-soluble vitamin found in a lot of foods like eggs, meat, and tofu, but it can also be found in a lot of fruits and vegetables, just a little bit smaller amounts. Vitamin E is an antioxidant which supports our immune system, but it also protects the lining of your blood vessels and positively influences a lot of metabolic processes within your body. And in addition to wearing sunscreen, vitamin E will also protect your skin from the harmful effects of the sun. It may lessen the likelihood of skin damage and then also help you recover from a minor sunburn faster with fewer symptoms. So I consider that a win-win. Not only does it protect your skin, but it also helps you recover should you get a little bit of a burn. So how do we get vitamin E? The recommended daily amount is 1,000 milligrams per day for adults. We can find this in summer foods like avocado, peppers, mango, peaches, things like that. So an avocado, when you want to pick those, because sometimes those can be a little bit deceiving, right? You want it to yield a little bit to gentle pressure when you squeeze on it, but you don't want it to be too mushy. Some varieties, especially like the Hass avocado that we see in the stores quite often, it will turn from green to black when it's ripe. Peppers can come in a wide variety of shapes, sizes, colors, and spice levels. So that's something to definitely ask your local farmer if you're unsure what variety it is, and the spice level if you're unsure. You want to look for ones that have a glossy skin. It shouldn't have any bruising or mushy spots on the surface of the vegetable. And then a mango will yield lightly to some thumb pressure. So you should be able to press your thumb in just a smidge, and it should smell fragrant. And you also want to look for mangoes that have a leathery, smooth skin. So what's a recipe for vitamin E? Well, I don't know if you guys are thinking what I'm thinking, but I think based on these ingredients, we got ourselves a recipe here for some summer salsa. So let's finally chop up some red pepper, mango, and red onion. You can add a little jalapeno if you like it on the spicy side, because those are also in season right now. Dice up your avocado. Wait till the end to add in the avocado, because otherwise it's going to tend to get a little bit mushed up with everything as you mix. Mix all your ingredients into a bowl with a fresh squeeze of lime juice, a pinch of cumin. You could chop and add some cilantro if you like cilantro. That's in season right now. And just mix it all up and you've got an easy, fresh summer salsa. You can dip it with chips, serve it with some grilled fish, chicken, tofu, whatever your preference is. But that would round out a nice vitamin E rich meal. Next up is vitamin A. Vitamin A is used to is used to describe a group of fat-soluble compounds, which are available in our diet in two different forms. Vitamin A is a preformed retinol, we've heard, or provitamin A, which is your beta carotene, which is what you'll find in more of your fresh summer produce. It's critically important in the human body because it's very important to our function of vision. Preformed A, or the retinol version, is more commonly found in organ meats and some dairy or fortified cereals. The beta carotene is what we will find in the fruits and vegetables. Most people can get plenty of vitamin A from meats, fish, and their produce like carrots, sweet potatoes, and even green leafy vegetables. But taking in vitamin A in the summer may help prevent vision damage from the sun, but it can also help to improve your vision and help you see more clearly and brightly. However, this is not an excuse not to wear your sunglasses, folks. We still need to protect those eyes. So how do we get vitamin A? We should aim for an intake of about 700 to 900 micrograms. And I have some pictured examples here of how we can get this with summer produce through mangoes, peaches, those kinds of fruits, melons, cantaloupe. I've got pictures of peach here. And then our dark leafy greens like our kale and spinach and collards and those things that you'll find in abundance right now as well. So how do we pick them? Melon, I feel like, can be a very hard one to know how to pick correctly. And that's one that you want to look for, that one that's free of any nicks or cuts in the surface of the fruit. And you don't want to see any mold on the blossom end where you see that it has been picked from the ground. You definitely don't want to have any weird soft spots. And if you give it a little tap, it should sound a little bit like a drum. It should feel somewhat heavy in your hand when you're lifting it up. And whenever you smell it, it should smell kind of floral or honey-like. We already discussed mango. And then a good peach will have a little bit of give, kind of like the mango will. You'll definitely be able to smell the peach fragrance whenever you put it to your nose. If it's rock hard whenever you grab it, it might have been picked too early. So just discard those. So I thought we could use vitamin A as a way to get in our fruits with a fun spin on a fruit salad. So we all are very familiar with your typical fruit salad, which is great. But this is utilizing some of the different summer produce, such as mangoes and melons and peaches, and even some summer berries. I think blueberries or blackberries would be delicious in this. Mixing all of those in with a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. Now I know it sounds a little weird, but stick with me here. Let it sit in the fridge for about an hour, and that acidic flavor of the balsamic will really bring out the sweetness of the fruit naturally without having to add in sugars. Then you can mix in some fresh basil and mint before you serve to kind of bring out and utilize those fresh summer herbs. And if you want a little bit of crunch, you could add in some coconut flakes or some sliced almonds or pecans, but just wait until right before you serve so that they don't get soggy. All right, vitamin D. We have been hearing a lot about vitamin D recently and how important it is for our bodies, and it's utilized in so many different ways. It's a substance most commonly heard in the summer months because your own body produces it when it's exposed to sunlight. The human body requires sunlight to be able to generate this vitamin. It's not something that we just create in large amounts on our own. Interestingly enough, though, how much vitamin D is created depends on the time of day, your age, how much skin is covered or uncovered, and then your own natural skin tone. Without sunblock and adequate body exposure, the skin will make an average of 10,000 to 15,000 units of vitamin D within one sun exposure. Sunblock does decrease the amount of vitamin D production by the skin, but this does not mean that you should not wear it to protect your skin, folks. We still need to wear SPF, but just be aware that it does decrease your body's production. So this is why also in the winter months, we see mild deficiency in those who do not spend much time in direct sunlight with the shorter days and it being so cold out. Besides boosting your immune system, vitamin D also works to make your bones stronger, increases your ability to absorb phosphorus and calcium, and it makes it easier for your body to develop good endurance. So whether you're spending more time at the beach, participating in outdoor sports and recreation, summer is a key time for this vitamin. So how do we get it? The recommended daily intake of vitamin D for adults is between 600 and 800 units per day. Now, the optimal levels vary per individual, and we do like to see those values on a higher end, especially during those winter months. But if you have any question about where your levels are at or how much you should be supplementing, if you need to supplement, those are definitely questions for your healthcare provider. Vitamin D is not typically found in high amounts in produce aside from mushrooms. It's more in your eggs, some of your lean meats, but it is still important and plays a role and works with things like phosphorus and calcium that I mentioned. So I did bring up zucchini because that does contain phosphorus that supports bone health and works with vitamin D. How to pick a good zucchini or summer squash is you want a small, firm, and unbruised vegetable. Later on in the season, sometimes you'll see those big, overgrown, gourd-looking zucchinis. And although those are still edible, you can use them. They're going to have a little bit more water content and a little bit less flavor. So sometimes those are better more for stuffing or chopping those up and throwing those in your smoothie. So there's a couple of other extra nutrients that I want to bring up for these summer months, and that's also vitamin D's friend, vitamin K. You'll often see those two paired up together in supplements because vitamin K helps vitamin D to be more bioavailable and absorbable into your bone. Vitamin K is abundant in your green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale and collard greens, and even green beans. And just think green when you think K. In any greens, when you're trying to find the best ones, you want the leaves, the stems to be firm and upright. They shouldn't be discolored or have any weird sour smell. Polyphenols are found in many of our summer herbs, which we should not forget or neglect. You probably have an herb garden at home or have friends that have them and they grow so many and they don't know what to do with them, but they really have a good nutrient punch, not just there for flavor. So make use of those. They are great at preventing inflammation and providing natural antioxidant properties, as well as fiber and flavor. Whenever you're picking an herb, you want to look for it to be nice and firm, bright, and green. It should be fragrant. When you smell an herb, you will probably instantly know what it is based on its smell. All right, so let's tie this all together. This is my final recipe for kind of tying together the summer produce. It's my recipe for stone fruit arugula salad with herbs and asparagus. Now, feel free to interchange some of this and play around with your particular preferences. If you don't like asparagus, try some corn. Try some roasted zucchini. Try some green beans. Whatever you like or have on hand is just fine, but this is my recommendation. I like to try to keep my asparagus fork tender. So I do that by roasting it or grilling it for about 10 minutes. Just toss with some olive oil, salt and pepper. Then toss that once it's cooled with some fresh arugula, which is a great summer green. It's got a nice peppery bite to it. And then your summer herbs of choice or microgreens. You may see microgreens pop up at your local market. They're kind of really more up and coming now at some of the local farmers markets, and they pack a lot of nutritional value in a very small amount. So you may see broccoli shoots, pea shoots, radish tendrils, the little guys. They almost look like chopped herbs. Herbs that would be great here would be dill, mint, basil, cilantro, parsley, any of them really, any mix or all. Then you can just add in some thinly sliced fennel, red onion, and sliced radish. Top with your stone fruit of choice, such as plum, peach, or nectarine. Any of those stone fruits that have a good kind of sour tang will really work well with this. And then if you're dairy free, feel free to leave this out or substitute with a dairy free preference. But I like to sprinkle mine with a little bit of goat cheese or feta cheese to add in a little creaminess. You could also substitute avocado there too. And then optional would be adding in a handful of nuts. I think hazelnuts would be great with this, but pecans or almonds would also be, or pine nuts would be delicious. And then just drizzle with balsamic vinaigrette and enjoy. It's very simple. You could pair this with a protein of choice, some grilled chicken, tofu, fish, or you could just serve it as a side salad itself. But I think that it's really simple way to kind of round out all of this summer produce that you may be seeing pop up. And I really hope that you all have enjoyed my talk on summer produce, how to pick it, why we care, and maybe try one of these recipes at home. I would love to hear what you all think if you do try one. So please let me know if you try it and what you think. Thanks, everyone.